What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Untitled Game channel. I am AJ Gels. Guys, it is time for the weekly show. This goes live pretty much every Saturday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. How's it going, everybody? Wait, that made no sense with the opening of What's Up. Either way, guys, how's it going? I just keep greeting you. That's the entire show, just for an hour. If you're new to this show, basically what I do, I gather news from around the web, mostly IGN. I'm an IGN guy, but, I also will grab stuff from Twitter, GameSpot, Game Informer, Eurogamer, all that, and I bring just some interesting news that I find through the week to you guys, every week. Why am I so repetitive today? Either way, moving on. There's also a variety of other Let's Play content on this channel going on right now. Please go check it out. I've recently finished Battlefield 1. Today I just started, or yesterday, whatever, I just started Titanfall 2. Go check it out. Interesting game. Next Friday is Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and then the following Friday is Dishonored 2. So we have about 4 straight weeks new games. Really excited. And then actually after Dishonored 2, 4 days later on the 15th, is Watch Dogs 2. I will say this, if you guys want me to play the new Final Fantasy 15, please get a hold of me through the comments. You can also tweet at me at 11th Hour Gaming. That is 11THHOURGAMING, no spaces. You can also find me on Facebook, also in the description. You can also find the link to my Twitter in the description. So please hit me up in any of those or in any comments if you do want to see a Let's Play of Final Fantasy 15. Personally, I'd prefer not to. It's just I don't want to spend about 2 years on that on that series. Either way, that's a look at what's coming up. That's what's going on right now in the games industry. I'll kind of give an overview of Battlefield 1. Get the game. It's amazing. I'd say a solid 9 out of 10. The only real problems I have are with the war stories. I would have liked to see them be longer, and maybe a war story where you play as either a German, an Austro-Hungarian, or an Ottoman, so, kind of play on the losing side of the war. I don't know, I think that would have been interesting instead of all playing on the side of the Allies. And with Titanfall now out, my initial impression, I've played probably an hour and a half of the campaign. Interesting so far. The Titan actually has a really kind of funny, robot personality. The main character's a little dull, but I think you can play him off really well with BT, the Titan. Played a little bit of multiplayer. Not a big fan compared to Battlefield 1. Battlefield 1's multiplayer was amazing. This one, not so much. But I don't think it's bad. I think the game's pretty solid right now. I'm sitting at an 8 again after playing it for a day. I'm sitting at a solid 8 for this game. But yeah, all in all, I think it's really cool. It's an interesting kind of shooter. It's very slide and glide, more similar to Doom, or the new Doom that came out earlier this year, as opposed to your typical military shooters. Either way, that's enough yakking. Here we go. The news, and I guess to start the show, as I always do with tech news, the only thing I really have for you guys on that, in that vein, for this week is actually only about the Nintendo Switch. Apparently we will not be hearing anything new about the Switch until an event. I believe it's like the Nintendo Switch event. It's going on in Japan. That'll be on January 13th. I got that from an article by Tom Phillips in Eurogamer. See, personally, I find that a weird decision on Nintendo's part. I think they announced this console, officially announced this console, very late compared to when it's going to release, because it's coming out in March. So I think choosing to do that now was or I think last week was, I don't know. I feel like they probably should have done that a month or two earlier. And now saying we're not going to tell you anything more about it other than that trailer, until January, I think that's a poor choice, especially when it came out that a lot of what was going on in that trailer was doctored, and by doctored I mean, if you notice, sorry, my nose itches, a screenshot that I saw, it was a picture, a woman, she was playing the console, but if you look carefully, the image on the screen carries over her arm, which is impossible because the arm should have been blocking the screen. Well, it's because everything that was going on the screens of the actual the tablet of the Switch was added post production. So I think I think waiting till January to tell us more is waiting a little too long. Again, especially for a March release date. But that isn't the only Switch news we got this week. There's also a little bit more in an article by Joe Screbbles on IGN. Apparently, the Nintendo Switch is expected to to ship 2 million units before the end of the fiscal year, and the fiscal year being March 31st. Because that's how fiscal years work. So this is a weird number. Originally, this was reported by Takashi Mochizuki. I hope I pronounced that correctly. The Wall Street Journal. Where this, he was sitting in on like a Nintendo finance kind of like meeting or whatever. But this is actually less than what the Wii U shipped, or what the Wii U sold, which was 3.06 million. The article does kind of updated itself recently since I first read it. Is saying that actually that 3.06 number is based on sales through the first 44 days of the Wii U's launch. So in 44 days, they sold 3.06 million units. But what they actually expected to ship was 5.5 million units. So they didn't even sell all what they basically shipped. And also it continued on. The report said that Nintendo is expecting to sell all 2 million units immediately. I'm not 100% sure what immediately means, if that means day one, or if that means through, again, that first month. But either way, I think that is a lowball number. I don't know, maybe 2 million, and maybe they make their money back. But I can't. I don't know. I don't think the Nintendo Switch is being handled well. I think right now it's being set up to fail. Honestly, and again, I said this last week when I talked about the Switch. The commentator, the online personality of me wants it to do well, and really the me that cares about the industry and the market really wants Nintendo to do well. I mean, they're a very historic brand, but I think the Nintendo Switch is a big fiasco that is not going to work out. Even though no matter how much I hope it does, I don't think it will. So I think this is probably going to be the end of Nintendo selling home consoles if this does not do well. I think they should stick to sorry, I keep losing my voice. I think they should keep to portable handheld consoles such as the DS. I think that's more their wheelhouse, as opposed to trying to do this weird hybrid thing. That, or for the love of God, Nintendo, make a dedicated home console with just that'll run great, that can rival the Xbox One and the PS4. Because the way the Switch is, it's not going to rival either of them. It's going to be probably better than your 360 or PS3, but nowhere near what your Xbox One or PS4 can handle. So I don't know. Again, that's my thing on the Switch. Take it or leave it. Moving on. I guess another Nintendo news. Pokemon Sun and Moon is apparently right now the most pre-ordered game, or pre-ordered games, in Nintendo history. I believe it's also the most downloaded demo on the Nintendo Store. Article by Wesley Copeland of IGN. Let's see here. If anybody remembers Steep from the Ubisoft E3 press conference, Steep is an upcoming kind of like action sports. It's like downhill skiing, snowboarding, paragliding. It's like a social experience where these mountains are. You meet up with other people, you race each other, you make your own courses. I think the game. I think they picked a terrible place to put it in that press conference. They should not have ended it with Steep. And also, I don't know. I've said this before. Social games are not my thing. I'm more of a narrative, more of a single player experience guy. So I'm not going to give a lot of personal commentary because I don't think it'll do what this game is justice. Because it looks really cool, and I'm sure there's a market out there for it. But if you want access to the closed beta you'll have to, I believe, before November 9th, go to the Steep website to register and possibly get access to the closed beta that will run from November 10th to 14th. I know I've gone through this in probably the weirdest way possible, and then there will be an open beta running November 18th to the 21st. So that's the following week. Article by Eric Von Allen of IGN. If I might also say, that is the best supervillain name ever. I always say that whenever I do an article by him, but God, I want it to happen. Square Enix is now apparently the article put this in quotes, committed, I don't know what the quotes mean there, to bring more Dragon Quest to the West. Recently, Dragon Quest Builders has come to the PS Vita. I've heard it's doing very well. I've heard it's very Minecrafty, so it has zero appeal to me. But I've heard, sorry, sorry, my voice keeps dropping. But I have heard really great things about Dragon Quest Builders. I believe Dragon Quest 11 is being brought west. I think it was 11. I can't remember the Roman numeral. But there's a Dragon Quest game being brought west for home consoles. Personally, I'd say I'd love them to bring some of the older Dragon Quest games back. Let me play them on my Vita, or even some of the new ones. If you can swing it, put it on Vita, I would play a Dragon Quest game on the go, hands down. I think I still remember playing Dragon Quest on my PS2, like long time ago. So I don't know. I think the market's here for turn-based JRPGs. I think that turn-based JRPGs are really, I think they're really popular. I really wish Final Fantasy wouldn't have broken away from that. Because like I said, I think Dragon Quest can make a big surge here in the West. Persona obviously has had a massive surge in the West, especially with Persona 4 and Persona 4 Golden on the Vita. It's just I've always said I think there's a massive difference between Western and JRPGs and just the way that they play. While Western RPGs are more set to kind of an action style, JRPGs I think fit better with turn-based, which is why I don't like the idea for Final Fantasy 15. Everything I've seen from it, it's an action game. It's an action game, and I'm like, well, I don't know if it's just that I want Final Fantasy to be turn-based, or if I just don't think it'll work as an action game. Because I've played Final Fantasy games that are more action-based. I don't like them as much. I don't know why. I don't think JRPG games work as action games. I think they work much better as turn-based, and I think Western games like The Witcher, I don't think would have worked as well as a turn-based game. I think that game is much more suited to a typical action RPG style. So there we go. There, if I jumped in the weeds there for a little bit, I apologize. Article by Alex Osborne of IGN. Turtle Rock Studios has ended support for Evolve. I almost said EVE Online. That's not right. They have ended their support for Evolve. I'm not a big online player, and I also never played Evolve. So I believe you can still play it online. It's just that new content will not be added for Evolve. I believe they ended that on the 25th. Article by Seth G. Macy of IGN. The top 10 sales in the UK have been released. The article did make a mention. This is physical sales, not online. Going in from 10th to 1st, in, I guess, numerical order, whatever. In number 10, we have Minecraft Xbox Edition, followed by GTA 5 in 9th. In 8th, Forza Horizon 3. 7th, Rise of the Tomb Raider 20-year edition. In 6th, WWE 2K17. 5th, Batman Return to Arkham. 4th, Gears of War 4. I think it's shocking that it lost to what actually placed in 3rd, which was Mafia 3, although I do find it funny that Gears of War 4 is in 4th and Mafia 3 is in 3rd. In 2nd, FIFA 17, and leading the charge, the number one game in the UK, Battlefield 1. Very, very much earned that. I talked about Battlefield 1 more at the beginning. Definitely a great game. Like I said, go check it out. Article by Wesley Yinpool at Eurogamer. pretty much just the title of this article is going to tell you everything that the article was about. This was an article by Sam Prell on Games Radar, and the title reads, Titanfall 2 DLC maps and modes will be free, no season pass required or sold. So basically, the multiplayer DLC for Titanfall 2 will be totally free once it drops. And finally, research firm Cohen and Company says Titanfall 2 sales are going to be, as they put it, substantially disappointing. Article by Eddie Makuch of GameSpot. I find that's about right. I think that's pretty spot on. And I feel bad for him that that's probably gonna happen. How to put it? It's just this was a weird time to put Titanfall 2, especially I'd say. I know people liked the original Titanfall, but I'm gonna call mediocre reception. It was not a game for everyone, and it's coming out right in between the two big shooters, being Battlefield and Call of Duty. So I think this was, and I think that's what they're saying here. I've seen multiple game commentators on Twitter posting about this, and I have to agree with them. I think it was a bad choice, but once the dust clears, then I think we'll be able to see where Titanfall lands. So, like I said, I'm not sure if I said this in the beginning, but that's all the news I got for you guys this week. We're kind of in the week news cycle because we're post all the big trade shows. We're pre PSX, pre the Game Awards and all that. So this is kind of the dead time where we get very just obtuse and very obscure news. So again, this show might be a little boring for the next few weeks. But guys, thank you for tuning in. As always, you find me on Facebook, Twitter, my website. That's all down in the description. And remember to like, comment, if you're not already, please subscribe and check out the variety of other content I have here on this channel. So until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. I am AJ Gels, and this is the Untitled Gaming Channel. I'm out.